Mentioned DA leader John Steenhuisen and Joburg mayoral candidate Dr. Mpho Phalatse are in Johannesburg to push for the vote ahead of the November 1st elections. For more, let's now bring in our reporter Abongile Dumako. Abongile, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Where exactly are you and what's happening there?
Good morning, Mpho and Ngongwana. We are live from the Johannesburg CBD. This is where, as you've alluded in an introduction, the DA mayoral candidate for the city of Johannesburg, Dr. Mpho Phalatse, alongside DA leader John Steenhuisen and other officials of the party, have actually revealed a 7-pillar manifesto that will guide the DA if it gets to govern the city of Johannesburg on how they plan to further improve service delivery in and around the city of Johannesburg. Quite interesting times, Mpho. Every party wanting to have a piece of the cake in as far as the city of Johannesburg. Remember, this is the economic hub of not only South Africa but the whole continent. So every party that wants to contest here in Johannesburg wants to make sure that it's on par in as far as what residents expect from them. This is the document that has got the 7 pillars which talk about security, safety, which talks about the delivery of services to the elderly, taking care of those who are vulnerable in society. But to tell us more of what is expected in as far as this DA-led municipality, if they get to be in power, is concerned, we're joined by the very mayoral candidate, Dr. Mpho Phalatse. Doctor, thank you so much for your time. 7 pillars, isn't that being too ambitious?
Not at all, no. The 7 pillars are in line with what is expected of any municipality in terms of the law. The law clearly states what each sphere of government is responsible for. And we are the sphere of government that is closest to the people. And so we are responsible for everything that we've outlined in our manifesto. The only areas where we want to extend ourselves a bit is where national government has failed us dismally. For instance, with policing, the Democratic Alliance nationally is working on forcing a national government to devolve some of the policing functions to local and provincial governments because SABC is failing us and our cities are not safe. Safety is very important in a city like Johannesburg, which, as you've said, is the economic hub. And for businesses and foreign investors to have the confidence to invest in Johannesburg, they need to be sure that they will be safe, their employees will be safe, and that it is a conducive environment for business to thrive. So those are areas where we are stretching ourselves. We're also trying to rid ourselves of dependence on Eskom. Eskom in our borders has really failed our residents. There's areas, for instance, in Soweto where people have gone for 2 years without electricity, and we would like to take over such areas and use some of the technologies that we've already tested in other parts of the country where the DA governs to give our people affordable and reliable energy in the city of Johannesburg. Electricity is very important for households, functionality, normality, but it's also an important driver of economy as well. Businesses are spending lots of money on alternative power. They're spending lots of money on diesel for their generators every month just to keep their doors open. It's not sustainable, and as a government we need to create an enabling environment for business to thrive. So those are the areas where we're stretching ourselves a little bit out of what is already in the legislation, wanting to take over some of the functions where national government is failing our people.
One of the most important parts that I've come across here in these 7 pillars is the issue of safety, the issue of crime and corruption, looking at the elderly as well. Some say the reason why there's too much crime is because people are out of jobs. What's your plan?
Well, it's true. Joblessness does contribute towards increasing crime. We do have a plan, and it goes back again to basics. We have been engaging with business. We've engaged with the SA Chamber of Commerce as well, and they're all asking for the same thing. Can you just restore normality in the city? Can you get basic service delivery going again so our businesses can function normally and so they can thrive? They're really not asking too much. They're not asking for anything that's outside of our immediate responsibility. So we will be doing that first and foremost. But we'll also be looking at ease of doing business in Johannesburg so that businesses can come to the city and do business even with government, help us to respond to some of the needs of our residents. And that's how they will grow and they will create employment. We'll also look at some of the abandoned factories in some parts of the city. We will look at attracting investment into those spaces. The beautiful thing is that they're very close to where people live, a lot of them. And so we believe believe that by attracting investment into those spaces, jobs will be created close to where people live, because we don't want people earning minimum wage to spend all their money on transport. We'll also be increasing our EPWP budget. We do get a budget from national, but what we will be doing is we will be also ring-fencing some budget within departments and entities to contribute towards the EPWP fund, so that we create more youth opportunities for job experience, growth and skills development. Those are just some of the interventions that we will be putting in place to help with job creation.
Now we've covered the administrative side of the city. Let's go to the political side of the city. The 3 years that we've had as an administration here in Johannesburg was not one of the most pleasant. You were in a coalition. What have you done more this time around to make sure that you are able to survive without a coalition? And if coalition does have to come to the fore, what's your stance in as far as that is concerned?
In terms of what we've done more, the good news is that people's lived experiences are telling them what voting how they voted will result in. The fact that people are crying about decay in the city and a breakdown of service delivery, it causes them to reflect on how they behaved in the 2016 elections and look at what they need to be doing differently this time around. What we are doing is translating that message and relaying it to all that we come across on the campaign trail, that because we did not have a majority government, we could not give you the full benefit of the DA brand of good governance that we know we can bring to Johannesburg, and that we believe that people deserve to experience at least once in a lifetime. Where the DA governs, there is normality, business is thriving, livelihoods are thriving, and so we want to bring that here. That is our first message. Don't stay away from the polls. In a constitutional democracy, residents have a responsibility as much as they have rights, and their responsibility is to participate in the election process. We are educating people wherever we go about their responsibility to vote, but to vote wisely and not emotionally. That's why we've given them a very comprehensive national manifesto, so that they can look at what we've managed to achieve where we govern. We're not only giving people promises, but we're giving them evidence of a proven track record of good governance wherever we govern.
Coalitions?
Well, we are open to coalitions, but we don't enter a race to lose. We enter the race to win. And so we continue to call on residents to give us an outright majority, because that's the best form of stability in the city. However, should we not achieve that, yes, we will consider coalitions, but we will not consider coalitions that will compromise us in terms of our values and our principles. And we will have to set clear parameters with whoever that we enter into coalitions with. I was part of what happened between 2016 and 2019, where we had the EFF not as a coalition partner but as a voting partner. We relied on them so much to pass budgets and other important milestones in the city, but they in turn used that to control and manipulate the Democratic Alliance. I mean, they would come to a budget strategic lekgotla and they would demand and not negotiate in the spirit of democracy. Democracy is about collaboration, cooperation, it's about compromise. They were never willing to compromise. They would demand and they would give ultimatums. You do this or else we will not vote. We will not come. And that's how we governed. We don't want to go back to that kind of relationship.
Dr. Mpho Phalatse, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it, Mpho. Dr. Mpho Phalatse, they're quite confident, the lady that has been trusted with this huge responsibility of taking the city of Johannesburg to the next level. She's quite prepared, from what I'm gathering, as we're having this conversation, to take the throne and actually move the city forward. It remains then to be seen whether or not voters come the 1st of November will heed to the call to vote wisely and not emotionally, which would see maybe the DA getting into power yet again without a coalition, they hope. With that, it's back to you in studio in Auckland Park.
All right, Abongile Dumako, thank you so much for joining us. That's our political reporter there, Abongile Dumako, just in conversation with the DA mayoral candidate, Dr. Mpho Phalatse, in Johannesburg.